Right, so now we're going to do, we did adding, subtracting, multiplying, dividing, and now we're going to do solving. So solving means that we're going to see equal signs now versus before we had no equal signs. So those are expressions. You simplify or reduce an expression, and you solve an equation. All right, so we're going to steps. Find the restricted domain. Then we're going to have to multiply by the least common denominator. We're going to simplify both sides. And then we'll check the solution. Sometimes there's what's called an extraneous solution. An extraneous, look at the word extra in there, means that there are solutions that don't fit because of the domain restriction. All right, so the extraneous solution, okay, only occurs when there is a variable in denominator, just so you know, okay? An extraneous solution only occurs when there's a variable in the denominator. Okay, so let's go slowly through this. If this didn't have the equal 1 and we needed to add them, you would have to have a common denominator. Okay, and for me, it's just easier if I just do the two bottoms multiplied together. So the common denominator would be 150. So if I want that guy to be 150, and that guy 150, I don't need to make, I just write so big. Big. Right? And I need this guy to be 150. To get 10 to 150, I'm going to multiply by 15, which means I need to do W by 15. And then the 15 times 150 to get to 150, I'm going to do times 10. So W times 10 is 10W. And to get 1, remember that's 1 over 1. To get that to be 15 on the bottom, I have to do 15 on the top. So here we are. They all have the exact same denominator. Okay? When let me add this to our steps. Everything has a common denominator. Delete it. I'll show you why that works. Okay, and we can delete it. There should be quotes right there. All right, it's because we're multiplying by the least common denominator. So let me show you. Here we are. We have 15W over 150 plus 10W over 150 equals 15 over 150. If I took everything and multiplied by 150, okay, then I would have 150 times 15W over 150 plus 150 times 10W over 150 equals 15 times 150 over 150. And look, those cancel, those cancel, those cancel. So the only thing I have left is 15W plus 10W equals 15. 15W plus 10W equals 150. All right, so the denominators just disappear. They delete. Once they are all the same, they delete. And so now what I have is 10W plus 15W, 25W. So I need to divide by 25. So I get W equals 15 over 25. But I need to simplify that. Divide everything by 5. So 15 divided by 5 is 3. 25 divided by 5 is 5. So I get 3/5. That was a lot. Let's do it again. Another problem. All right, so here we are. So we need to figure out the least common denominator, okay? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do 6 times 8 times t. So that's 48t. So I need everything in the all of these guys to have a 48t. All right, in order for this guy to be 48, I need to multiply by 8t. So 8t times 1 is 8t. For this guy to be 48, there should be a fraction mark. I need to multiply by 6t. So 16 times 1 is 6t. For this guy to be 48t, I need to multiply by 48. 48 times 1 is 48. So this 8t over 48t plus 6t over 48t equals 48 over 48t is our new fraction. If you don't go and reduce this, if you go, you'll go and get the original guy. What you need to do now is multiply everything by the denominator, 48t. 48t, because when we do that, 48t times 8t, and then the 48t on the bottom, plus 48t times 6t, and then that 48t from the bottom. Then we have 48t times 48, and that 48t from the bottom. When we do that, these guys cancel, these guys cancel, these guys cancel. And so all we have left is 8t plus 6t equals 48. 8t plus 6t equals 48. 8t plus 6t is 14t. And so I'm going to divide by 14. So I get t equals 48 over 14. So I can divide by 2. 48 divided by 2 is 24. 14 divided by 2 is 7. So I get t equals 24 over 7. All right, so basically, when the denominators are all the exact same, you can delete them. And the reason we can delete them is because we're multiplying everything by the least common denominator. And if we multiply the left and the right side by the same number, it just inflates it. It's me plus 50 pounds, 100 pounds, or whatever. It's still me. And so the same thing happens over here. That problem I already did. When we multiplied by 150, that bottom just went away. And so all we had left was the top. So that's why I said on these, when you multiply both sides of the equation by the common denominator, when everything has a common denominator, you can just delete that common denominator and just keep the top. Okay, as this step right here. All right, so let's look at one. I'm going to take out that step now. All right, so we have x, 3x, and a 3. So our common denominator is 3x. Common denominator. So I need this to be 3x minus 3x. He's already 3x. I need this to be 3x. So if that to be 3x, I need to multiply by 3. So 3 times 3 is 9. For this to be 3x, I need to multiply by x. Oh, when there's a variable in the denominator, we need to set the denominator equal to 0 and solve. So restricted domain. Set the denominator, the common denominator, equal to 0 and solve. So 3x equals 0. If I divide everything by 3, 0 divided by 3 is 0. 0 divided by 3. And so that means that I can't, that means x can't equal 0. So if I plug in 0, that's why a few videos back we did, like, what can't the denominator be? Or what's the domain? So that's what this is. And so if I put a 0 right here, right here, come on, right here, then that 3 over 0 is undefined, and I can't even do the problem. So once I finish solving this, if I get 0, I have a little hiccup, and I have to write something special. So let's see, even if that happens before I bring it up. All right, look. The denominators are all the same, so I'm just going to delete them. Okay, and so I have 9 minus x plus 21 equals 5x. Way easier than what's above there. All right, I need to distribute that negative sign. So negative times x is negative x. Negative times 21 is negative 21. Excuse me, and so that's where I am. 9 minus x minus 21. Combine like terms. So 9 minus 21. I'm like, okay, sorry. I was like super positive it was negative 12. I just want to make sure. It's negative 12. So that's where we are. Let me. Okay. Negative. Negative 12 minus x equals 5x. All right, so I'm going to put all the letters together. So add it. Negative 12 equals, those cancel. 5x plus x is 6x. So when I divide by 6 on both sides, I get negative 2. So x equals negative 2, which is not the domain. So they're different numbers, so it's okay. If they were the same number, just a little hiccup. When that happens, I'll tell you what to do. But until then, I'm just going to wait. All right, so y plus 9 is the common denominator. And so for the domain, I need to set that y plus 9 equals 0. When I subtract 9 on both sides, I get y equals negative 9. And so that means that if later, when I do stuff, if I get negative 9, I can't get negative 9. Because when I plug in negative 9 right here, I get 0 on the bottom. All right, the only one we need to fix is this middle guy right here, because that's like negative 2 over 1. So I need to make him hang on, let me write these guys. I need to make him have y plus 9. Y plus 9. And so I need to multiply y plus 9 on the top and the bottom. So negative 2y plus 9. All right, look. The bottoms are all the same, so it just goes away. So now I have 7y minus 2y plus 9 equals 2. All right, I need to distribute that negative 2. So I get 7y minus 2y minus 18 equals 2. Combine like terms. So 7y minus 2y is 5y minus 18 equals 2. Coming here. 5y minus 18 equals 2. If I add 18 to both sides, those cancel, so I get 5y. 2 plus 18 is 20. And if I divide by 5 on both sides, I get 4. 4 is not negative 9, so we're okay on the domain. So that's our answer. Y equals 4. And so if we plug in 4, 7 times 4 over 4 plus 9 minus 2 equals 2 over 4 plus 9. Those both sides would be equal. All right, let's watch the next video and do some more practice.